Hi, I'm here with Chris Rowley. He is a council candidate for the Lethbridge Municipal elections, and we're going to be asking him some questions to learn more about the plans he has for the city. So welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, the first question that I have for you is, what do you think needs improvement in the process of city council and administration? How would you make these improvements?
I think the improvements that need to happen are better communication between council and the administration, but not just that. They need better communication with the general public and how they roll out things and do things. It just doesn't work very well. So I think that's what needs to happen.
Do you have any plans for how you could help make these improvements?
I think I just need to get in there and see how it works already, and then go from there and really see where the breakdown in communication is between administration and council, because I think there's a big breakdown, or council is just letting administration do whatever they want, because then council can say, well, we're not responsible for that, administration is, which it shouldn't be that way. It should be council knows what's going on and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So what recommendations would you make to engage more citizens in the city's municipal development plan process?
I think again, it's where we don't, like, people don't feel like they're being heard when we do those plans and stuff. So I think there needs to be better engagement with the citizens, and what that looks like, I don't know at this point, but it's just not there. So like when they rolled out the transit plan, they really didn't have input from the general users of transit. And so it was all about saving money. And so now that people are seeing what it's like, no, this isn't working. But I heard because it's saving them money, they won't look at changing it going forward. They're just going to keep it the same because it does save them money. And so that's a concern of mine, because you're not engaging the citizens very well on how that looks. So, yep.
That's a good example. Um, what do you think the top three issues are in the community, and what would you do to address those issues?
I think communication is a big one to the general public, from council and from administration, and how they're dealing with things. And so the crime rate going up is one of those. And whenever something tries to come in and help that, people don't like it. And it's because they're not understanding how it's supposed to work, and so it's again that communication on how they're trying to deal with things. And so I think we need to really sit down and engage community to try to help solve some of the problems we have, and how that can work with policing and our community members and programs we already have can play a part in that. So yeah.
So you think communication is one of the big issues. Do you have any other issues that you see as kind of the top needs of the community?
I think that's the only one that I can see, really, because if we don't have good communication, everything else falls apart. So any other issues we have could be solved with that better communication and better working together. And so once that's solved, all the other problems or issues that I would have would start to figure themselves out. So that's why it's my one and only issue that I have right now. So yeah.
I understand. What would you want the city to do to create a good environment for business in Lethbridge?
I think promoting our city as a positive place, because a lot of our citizens think we're just a drug city. We have a lot of crime, but we have a lot good going for us. So we need to all get on the same page. Council, administratives, and our general community need to be all on the same page as each other when talking about Lethbridge. And I know a few other people running for council have talked about this in their platform as well. And so you might hear the same thing from them. And I really do believe that that's part of the problem, is we're not all on the same page. We're not all talking positive about Lethbridge. And so how can we really promote our city in a constructive way when we want to attract people, when we're saying it's not a good place, don't move here, it's just crime ridden. So yeah.
So tying back to that communication piece that you were mentioning earlier.
Yes.
Absolutely. So in the most recent MDP process, so municipal development plan, what decisions did you agree with and what ones did you not agree with?
Again, it's like, for me, it's like, what does the community need? So when I'm making decisions, it's not about what I agree with, it's about what the community needs or wants. And so it's going out and talking to the community before making decisions like that. And so it's really about that, understanding what the community wants and really needs. So like that third bridge, we do need one eventually. And if we do it now, it's going to be cheaper than doing it later because of inflation. So we really need to look at that, and how do the citizens want to pay for that as well? Because they're saying we need it. Like through this election process, they're going to put it on the ballot as well, the third bridge. So it's one of those things where I think it's good that it is on the ballot, because then they have a way of having that input into the system of wanting it or not, and what that looks like. So I think it's more about what the community needs than what I need, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally understand. Your role is to represent the community, and that's what you want to emphasize. So just a little bit of background on our next question. I know earlier you were mentioning the new transit system that the city just unveiled. So currently right now, the Lethbridge MDP prioritizes new development with pedestrians first, then bicycles, then transit, then commercial vehicles, and then multi-occupancy automobiles, so taxis, carpooling. And last is cars, just regular single occupancy automobiles. So how would you prioritize transportation for the future of Lethbridge?
I think that the way it is good, but I would like to see transit up there a little bit more and stuff. But for me, it's like when I walk around the city, it's not very friendly. So I think they need to work on that for sure and prioritize that and make some changes in areas that they can. Because when we have like hear about people getting hit on bikes and stuff, and why is that? Is it because our traffic isn't safe, like how our traffic works with those pedestrians and stuff? So I think it's prioritized well. So yeah.
So you think that the order that they have the priority is good, but they just need to invest a little bit more into making sure that it's safe for communities and individuals? Yeah.
Yes.
So moving on to our last couple questions, just dealing with financials. So where do you think the city should spend more money and why?
I Again, I'm a user of transit and stuff, and I would like to see more money put into transit and stuff, not be taken away. And so, because for me, it's like people that use it aren't being heard. The people that are the ones that don't want taxes to go up, and they don't want certain things in the city. Like I've heard a lot of people say privatize transit. Well, that's not going to work. And so for me, it's like, I understand they need to save money, but they need to really work with the people that it affects, and how they work with them is where I see like a transit commission of riders needs to happen, so we can talk about the issues and what could be better and where the savings could be and stuff. Because most transit users understand that most people use cars in the city, so we're not against trying to save money or put it where it's needed most. So yeah.
So you think transit is a big area where the city should spend more money. Are there any other areas that you think the city should prioritize spending?
I think our downtown core needs to have some more money put into it to keep it viable instead of all the businesses moving out to Walmart areas and stuff. So I think tax incentives to keep people in the downtown core would be good or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Where and how do you think the city should reduce spending?
I honestly don't have an answer for that one. And it's like looking at where money is being spent that we could save, I think would be the first thing I would need to do once I got on council and really look at that and see, because I don't have a good understanding of where that money could be saved without hurting people at this point. Because a lot of people say, well, transit isn't being used, save money there, but it's hurting people. So like we want to save money again, but we don't want to hurt anybody. And so where can you make those savings? Like one way is council members don't need to get paid as much, like they used to get lunches. That was taken away a while ago. So I believe transit has taken steps to do that already, or the city council has taken steps to do that already, and there's still steps they can take. So yeah.
So with that in mind, this kind of loops into the next question. So you mentioned that once you get in, if you get into council, that you're going to kind of dig deep into financials and figure out if there's ways to reduce spending. What criteria then would you recommend the city examine prior to approving those large projects?
I think the large projects need input from the taxpayers, and the taxpayers really need to understand how much money is gotten from other levels of government. Because going back to transit, which I know really well because I take it, one person running for council has said we should privatize it or we should do this. And he's saying that they spent this much money on the electric buses, but he doesn't realize that some of that money came from federal money to get those electric buses. And so he's claiming that we spent this much money, not explaining to people that some of that money was federal grants that we got for that project. And so I think people need to understand where some of the money's coming from for some of these projects. It's not just taxpayers' dollars. Some of it's being leveraged by other grants or other places where they get some of that money from. So I think we need to communicate that better to the taxpayers and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this kind of ties into our last question, but I'll break it up. So looking at the City of Lethbridge Capital Improvement Program plan for the next 4 years, which two expenses are you most in favor of?
And I don't know what those are. I honestly haven't looked at that. So I honestly don't know. And so, yeah.
That is completely fair. So that kind of ties back to where you think the city should be spending more money and spending less money. So that is the last question that I have for you. So now, is there anything else that you would like to share to the community and the people that are going to be watching this interview?
I'm very open to answer more questions. You can get me by email or phone, which is on the city website. And so, yeah, I'm very willing to talk about any of these issues going forward and hear anybody out. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. I look forward to hearing more from your campaign and what you're doing. So thank you so much for doing this interview with the Lethbridge Transparency Council. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And you have a good day.
You too.